Hello, my name is Manish Srivastava and I'm a second year MBA student and Center for Digital Studies MBA Fellow at the Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth College. I'm pleased to welcome Dan Albohn, Manager Strategic Business Development at Sony Electronics Digital Reading Business Division, who is joining us today as a part of the Brit Technology Impact Series. What's your perspective on how the ebook ecosystem will look like in 5 to 10 years from now?
The 5 to 10 years is a really long time for me because of the change, the rapid change that we've been undergoing. I think I've touched on a few things related to what we might define as the ecosystem in the course of our earlier questions. But really, the first thing is to define the ecosystem and the players in it, and I think I'd like to represent a few of those, the stakeholders, and then we might consider a few of the paths this could go. But when I think of an ecosystem for, say, digital publishing, I think of the agent, the author, the publisher, a distributor, a bookseller, online, bricks and mortar, the library community, and of course the consumer and the end user. And the end users will have multifunctional devices that are capable of doing book reading. How much they do on a multifunctional device, or if they're playing games or video or online or other applications, I think that remains to be seen. I think the form factor of the device gets into this too. We have a continuum of devices now on the market that are all capable of reading or searching, consuming content, from a laptop and a PC which are fully connected, to wireless connected devices with small screens, to the e-ink based devices like the Sony. So you see an ecosystem, or certainly a category of products that meet different needs, and the players behind them all feel that it's a legitimate, measurable business, but they are definitely different segments and with different appeal just in the hardware space. I'm pretty confident that the traditional publishers, the trade publishers, over 3, 5, 10 years, we're going to continue to read books. I think print will continue to exist side by side. You can almost put it in the continuum with the hardware devices. There is going to be a community that continues to want to read print books and even print newspapers. And magazines. Some are thriving, some aren't. You mentioned Smashwords, you mentioned the self-publishing space. I think we'll continue to see more of these entities out there offering more choice. It's like online banking. You know better than I, it's not all that costly to have that presence. The key is how you get the traffic.
All right, so that brings me to my last question. You mentioned textbooks a couple of times, and it seems like it has not been the focus so far, and there could be reasons behind. So my question is, do you see opportunities in textbook market in coming years? And what are the challenges to tap into that opportunity?
There's been ongoing discussion in the major textbook publishing houses. We're certain of that. Everyone on the street, individuals are always complaining about backpacks. So the way that conversation often goes is people want to put, they want to relieve their kids and graduate students maybe of carrying tons of heavy books on that backpack. But that's the obvious, the portability of ebook format in a device like a Sony or even other multifunctional devices that may weigh a little bit more than the e-ink based device like ours. But the textbook discussion, I think, is much more complex. That's why it hasn't happened in scale yet. Sony's had some pilot programs. There's been interest expressed by many universities. We did see, of course, Amazon with, I believe it's called the DX larger screen product. They had been trying to do some testing. I think that met with mixed results at the universities, Case Western, Princeton, maybe Arizona or Arizona State, several others that were experimenting with that. And the reason is multiple. You may be able to answer better. You're a current user of these materials. Textbooks generally require, in most disciplines, color. They're very complex layout with special graphics and characters and fonts. The context, I think, is pretty important in a textbook, too. So then you need the real estate of the screen size. Because if you break certain charts and graphs away from the text, it just really isn't, they shouldn't be separated. So we need to find a way, a happy medium in screen size, color capability. And heretofore, the e-ink hasn't been capable of video or other multimedia. And I think the players in higher ed, especially Cengage, Thompson Learning originally, McGraw-Hill, Pearson, Bedford, Freeman, and Worth, I'm missing one or two others. It is sort of a tightly structured industry compared to trade publishing, and that leads us down a path of an interesting discussion of how they want to interact with you, the student, as well as the faculty member. And there are initiatives such as CourseSmart, which is a platform, I believe it's a joint venture, of the 5 or 6 major higher ed publishers. And I know they're reaching out to faculty and students. That's not a device play, that's still a content delivery play. So people are really knocking their heads on this. I know the publishers are interested in their relationships with consumers and students and faculty, but the technology to date hasn't been there. And I'll just close on this piece. I like to put the disciplines in different buckets, and a history book or text or syllabus is certainly different from differential equations, circuits, accounting and finance, where we really don't do immersive reading. There's a lot of problem solving and a lot of probably off the book, off the screen kind of work. So that's why I like to contrast the way we consume and read a fiction or nonfiction book on a device like Sony's or others versus how we consume and render different disciplines. And so there's got to be a scalable, sizable business in this for Sony and the publisher to really go gung-ho into a digital business for higher learning and elementary and high school. But it's in the works. It's inevitable.
That's very interesting. So Dan, on behalf of the Center for Digital Strategies at Tuck, I would like to thank you again for speaking with us today. I'm sure our listeners appreciate your thoughts and insights. This has been Manish Srivastava for the Center for Digital Strategies at Tuck School of Business. Thank you.
Thanks, Manish. Yeah.